Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Full Spectrum D&D podcast. My name is Trey.
I'm Rungren.
Yeah, we got some monsters to talk about tonight.
Yeah.
In case you've never watched a D&D podcast before, or you're new to the channel, or anything of that kind, on the D&D podcast, we talk about things mostly from the DM side of things, but also considering what it means for players. Our first whole set of episodes were just on how you can play D&D for free, and on what it's like to be new to either role. But one thing we really love to do, and it's what we've been doing for a while now, is talking about monsters in Mordenkainen's Monsters of the Multiverse, because there's a lot of monsters in there. And we break them down based on what they can do, how we would use them, things like that. Because again, there's not that many books that are made for DMs in 5e.
Yeah.
And it's nice when one does come out for us to have stuff. But we've been working our way through, and we are now on the Ks for our monsters. And this starts with one of my favorite monsters to hunt in Monster Hunter.
Really?
The Kirin, or Kirin, depending on how you pronounce it. But they specifically have it Ki-rin. So,
okay.
These are noble celestial creatures.
Oh, fancy.
They're from the outer planes, and they're normally in service to benevolent deities that take a direct role in the eternal struggle between good and evil. In the mortal world, Kirins are celebrated far and wide as harbingers of destiny, guardians of the sacred, and counterbalances to the forces of evil.
Okay.
Now, they are the embodiment of all that is good, so they can only be good.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean they won't fight a party that tries to kill them. Because they do have a very powerful horn that is considered a great treasure.
Okay.
So, it is a CR12 creature.
All right. Mid-range. Here you go.
AC 20.
Okay.
Hit points 153. 60-foot walking speed. 120-foot fly speed.
Okay.
For anybody who's never seen a Kirin, it is like a lizard horse. Banana.
Hey, what's going on, Dark?
It is a horse with lizard scales, basically. It's like a dragon horse, but without wings, but it can still fly. Because it's like a Eastern dragon horse.
Okay. Well.
Kirins are cute. They are very cute and really fun to hunt in Monster Hunter. But one thing I really like here is that they've given it that 120-foot fly speed for hover.
Yeah.
Where it's like, heck yeah, this thing can move.
Oh, yeah.
Just as it should be able to. It should be able to run circles around your party. It is, of course, immune to poison. It has dark vision for 120 feet and true sight for 30 feet.
That's pretty good.
Passive perception of 19.
That's pretty good.
Can speak all language and has telepathy to 120 feet.
Okay.
So this thing knows you're coming.
Yeah.
It knows you're there, and it can't see you.
And it knows what you're talking about.
Right, it knows what you're talking about. It does have legendary resistances, 3 a day.
Okay, at 12.
It's pretty low for those. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And it has magic resistance, so it has advantage on saving throws against spells and other magical effects. It has a multi-attack where it makes 2 hoof attacks and 1 horn attack, or 2 sacred fire attacks. The hoof is a +9 to hit with a reach 15 foot. Single target. This is a large creature, by the way. 15 foot, single target, 2d4 plus 5 force. That's right. It knows.
Now you know the real identity of Santa Claus.
And it does have a beard, so I mean...
Yeah. Now you know the real identity.
So it's not a lot of damage, but it can make 2 of these every turn plus a horn attack. So 2d4 plus 5 force.
Yeah.
It adds up, especially at CR12.
Well, when it can get away, too.
Yeah. And it's got a lot more stuff in its toolkit.
Right.
The horn is +9 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 2d8 plus 5 radiant.
Okay.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Or instead of making those 3 attacks, it can make 2 sacred fire attacks, which is a ranged spell attack, +9 to hit, range 120. Single target, 3d8 plus 5 radiant.
Okay.
They have a single muscle. No, you're good. You don't have to apologize. We can read this and respond to chat. Which is, again, being able to do 2 of those a turn when it can run 120 or fly 120 feet.
Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
It can fly away and then shoot these sacred fires at you. And it has spell casting.
Yeah, this is where I think, and kind of interested about this. I saw this coming.
Well, it should, right? It's a dragon horse.
Yeah, but with that much movement,
Right.
you really want it to be effective. It's got to be able to do something from a distance. I'm kind of really interested in this.
So its mod is wisdom, of which it has a +5, and its save is 17. I realized we got a comment the other day that specified that I've been telling you what the mods are, but not what the number for the mod is for base. So it's not actually helping you much. So I'm now going to try and remember to add that in. But the spell save DC is 17.
Okay.
At will, it can use light, major image, the 6th level version, and thaumaturgy. 3 times a day each, it can use cure wounds, dispel magic, lesser restoration, and sending.
Yeah.
Which is all very good. And then we have once a day each, daily as we would have used to say, banishment, calm emotions, create food and water, greater restoration, plane shift, protection from evil and good, revivify, and wind walk.
That's a pretty good spell list.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel built for damage.
Right.
But man, what a great ally it would be.
Oh yeah, this is a great support.
Yeah.
It also has legendary actions.
Okay.
Of course, gets 3.
Yeah.
It can move for 1, up to half its speed without provoking opportunity attacks. So that's 60 feet.
Yeah.
And then it can smite with 1, which is 1 hoof, horn, or sacred fire attack.
Okay.
So I think you're right. I think this is an ally to bring. Now it does have lair actions.
Well, okay, this is what I'm saying because a herd coming at you or multiple of these coming at you, the DM's going right and using the protections across. It'd be kind of tough to take out this. I don't think it would be impossible to take out. I just think it would be a long time.
Right.
To take this one down. If you take them down.
I agree. So lair actions are create comforts. It conjures up 1 or more permanent objects made of soft plant-based material, including manufactured objects like pillows, ropes, blankets, and clothing that can collectively fill no more than a 20-foot cube. The object materialized 1 minute later in an unoccupied space of the Kirin's choice on the floor of the lair.
Okay.
So, hey, you've come to see this Kirin, and here you go.
There you go.
Create stone and metal. It conjures conjures up 1 or more temporary objects made of stone or metal that can collectively fill no more than a 2-foot cube. They materialize 1 minute later, and they vanish after an hour.
Does it say, what was the damage? Did it say in a space it could see?
In space it can see.
Oh, man, you're going to have people trying to... This thing creates a metal orb in your chest.
Right. And it can create wood in much the same way. 1 or more permanent objects made of wood or similarly hard plant-based material can collectively fill no more than 1 10-foot cube, and they materialize a minute later, and of course they can be permanent. So it also has some regional effects, such as blessed by nature. Beasts, plants, and celestials within 3 miles of the lair grow more vigorous as they evolve toward an idealized form. They're rarely aggressive towards others that aren't normally their prey. And it can cast control weather while it's within 3 miles of its lair. The spell's point of origin is always the point outdoors closest to the center of the lair, and it doesn't need to maintain a clear path to the sky or to concentrate for the change in weather to persist.
Yeah. I don't... This monster doesn't fit well on a random chart.
Right. I agree.
So just to have it random, but as a setup for a scene, just reading over that, you've got a lot you can do. Mm-hmm. Like if you want to use it as, if you're going to have players go fight something that's maybe a little bit OP.
Yeah.
It's not a pet.
Right.
But something that could help them along the way.
An ally.
Or an ally, yes.
Along. Yeah.
Yeah.
A couple more of these. The waters within 3 miles of the lair are pure, and any corrupted water or purposeful corruption of water lasts no more than 3 minutes. Curses, diseases, and poisons on creatures are suppressed when they're within 3 miles of the lair, unless the creatures are aberrations, fiends, or undead.
Okay.
It'd be a really cool way to get this allied to them is they need to go get the help of somebody that is cursed, that is inside the lair's range.
Yeah.
to be able to keep the curse suppressed.
Yeah.
And that's how they run into the Ki-rin. Safe Descents is the last one within 3 miles of the lair. Wind buoys creatures that fall due to no act of the Kirin or its allies. Such creatures descend at a rate of 60 feet per round and take no falling damage. Aberrations, fiends, and undead don't gain the benefit falling as normal.
Okay.
Just, hey, did you fall, but you're within 3 miles of the Kirin's lair?
Yeah.
The wind itself will help you.
Yeah. That's nice.
Yeah. So that's Kirians. They're interesting.
Like, look, I don't care where the unicorn comes from. I want one.
Next up, we have Kobolds. We got 3 different variants of Kobolds
Yeah,
here.
that makes sense. We need a little more depth.
Yes.
For some of these monsters.
First off, we have the Dragon Shield. These are champions of their people. They start out as normal kobolds, but are chosen by a dragon and invested with their power for the purpose of protecting the dragon's eggs. But every once in a while, a kobold will hatch already as a Dragon Shield. It will just have that power innate inside itself.
The chosen one.
Right.
We have found the chosen one.
We also have a blurb from Mordenkainen here.
Nice.
It says, believe it or not, I like kobolds. I find their oscillation between bravery and cowardice endlessly entertaining. In fact, I'd say kobolds are proof of the universe's most fundamental lesson. There's always something bigger than you.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, these are CR1.
Well, yeah.
AC of 15, which is really good for CR1. But it's because they have a shield.
Yeah.
44 hit points, which is, again, is pretty good for CR1. And 20 feet of movement.
Well, they're not very fast.
Not very fast. This is probably going to be a boss monster at level 1, I would say, and we'll get into why here, but they have whatever resistance stats of whatever type of dragon that they are based on.
Yeah.
So if they're you roll a d10 or you can choose, but if it's a 1 to a 2, then they have an acid resistance. If it's 3 to 4, they have a cold resistance. Acid for black or copper, cold for silver or white.
Yeah.
5 to 6 is fire for brass, gold, or red. 7 to 8 is lightning for blue or bronze, or 9 to 10 is poison for green. They also have Heart of the Dragon as an ability. If it's frightened or paralyzed by an effect that allows a saving throw, it can repeat the save at the start of its turn to end the effect on itself and all kobolds within 30 feet of it. Any kobold that benefits from this trait, including the Dragon Shield, has advantage on its next attack roll. Now, you may look at that and go, well, obviously, this is not a boss monster then, because, you want it to be able to benefit its allies. And it has pack tactics. So there's advantage on attack rolls against a creature if at least one of the kobold's allies within 5 feet of the creature.
Yeah.
And the ally is incapacitated. But that's where I think this thing shines later on. You can use it again.
Right.
But once we get into the damage, I think you'll see that at CR1, that's a strong creature.
Well, yeah, but it's a kobold, so you'd want CR1, but you'd use it in a group for higher levels. Kind of like you were saying one with goblins.
Absolutely.
Some of these others.
And I like how it's balanced for both. Because
Yeah.
in a single encounter, those 2 abilities aren't going to mean anything. But when you bring it back later, those 2 abilities bring it up.
Yeah.
It does have sunlight sensitivity, so while in sunlight, it has disadvantage on attack rolls, as well as perception checks that rely on sight. And then it has multi-attack for 2 spear attacks. They're melee or ranged, plus 3 to hit, reach 5 foot, or range 20-60. Single target, 1d6 plus 1 piercing, or 1d8 plus 1 piercing if used with 2 hands to make a melee attack. And it can do that twice around at CR1.
Yeah.
That's
Well, if you
that might kill the barbarian.
if you want to make the encounter deadly,
Yeah.
this is a way to do it. And I don't think that the hot take. I think there's many, because I can't help it. I like kobolds too.
Yeah.
I prefer kobolds. There's something about them that I just prefer over goblins and other things.
Right.
But I always feel like a sense of duty to the kobold. That if I'm bringing in kobolds, I got to bring in dragon kind.
Yeah, I agree. Well, they're intrinsically tied together, right?
You're right. Yeah.
So again, that's a really strong boss monster to use pretty early on. 1d6 plus 1, you're doing at least 2 damage per hit on every attack, right?
Yeah.
You may say, well, 2 is not that much, but you're doing at least 4 damage or at most 14 damage. Like, that's a big variable right there. And at level 1, your barbarian might have 12 HP.
Yeah, the only thing that sets it off is its slow movement speed.
Right.
So, I mean, for the right group,
yeah,
it's going to be there, because if they get, if they get a couple of good rolls, they're going to take it down.
Right.
But also, I'm kind of wondering now, I think this was probably done with like the new 1 rules and how, you're getting a feat from a background.
Yeah.
Now
to be able to face off this thing in CR1.
Yeah.
But let's say you want to use it again with some other stuff. Well, next up we have the Kobold Inventor. Okay. These build improvised weapons to get advantage in combat. These weapons last for only 1 or 2 attacks before they break, and typically work only for the inventor, but they might be surprisingly effective in the meantime.
Okay.
I love this monster. I want to tell you right now, they used Chris Perkins' Kobold as an inspiration.
Yeah.
And this is maybe my favorite monster that we've got to yet.
Okay.
So it's CR 1/4. I can't remember the name of Chris Perkins' Kobold. Is it Splart? Or Spurt? It was Spurt.
Okay.
Yeah. But AC 12, hit points 13, speed of 30. Of course, they have dark vision, passive perception of 10 because they're kobolds. Yeah. It has pack tactics. It has sunlight sensitivity. Its attacks page is so long. It has a dagger, which is +4 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, or range 20-60.
Yeah,
1d4 +2.
Yeah, it's no fun.
Basic dagger.
Yeah.
It has a sling, +4 to hit, range 30, 120, single target, 1d4 +2 bludgeoning, right?
Yeah, here in a few months, these things are having hoopocks. But go ahead.
Right. This is hey, here we go. We're having a good time. But it also has weapon invention. Use one of the following options. Choose one or roll a d8. The kobold can use each one no more than once per day. Buckle up. The first one's acid. It hurls a flask of acid, which is a ranged weapon attack, +4 to hit, range 5, 20.
Okay.
5 foot, 20 foot. Single target, 2d6 acid damage.
Okay.
Very good. 2 is Alchemist Fire. Throws a flask of Alchemist Fire, +4 to hit, range 520. Single target, 1d4 fire at the start of each of the target's turns. The target can end this damage by using its action to make a DC 10 dex check to extinguish the flames.
Okay.
Not unfair, but can add up really fast if they roll poorly.
Yeah.
A basket of centipedes. The kobold throws a small basket into a 5-foot square within 20 feet of it. A swarm of insects, centipedes from the monster manual, with 11 hit points emerge from the basket and roll initiative. At the end of each of the swarm's turn, there's a 50% chance the swarm disperses.
That's pretty awesome.
I love that. Number 4 is a green slime pot. The kobold throws a clay pot full of green slime at the target, and it breaks open on impact. Range weapon, +4 to hit, range 520, single target, 1d10 acid damage, and the target's covered in slime until a creature uses action to scrape or wash the slime off. A target covered in slime takes 1d10 acid damage at the start of each of its turns.
Okay.
This thing's pretty deadly. It just doesn't have any health or any survivability. Number 5 is a rot grub pot. It throws a clay pot into a 5-foot square space within 20 feet of it, which breaks open on impact. A swarm of rot grubs, which we're going to get to when we get to the R's, emerge from the shattered pot and remain a hazard in that square.
Okay.
Number 6 is scorpion on a stick. The kobold makes a melee attack with a scorpion tied to the end of a 5-foot long pole. +4 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 1 piercing damage, and the target must make a DC 9 con save, taking 1d8 poison damage on a failed save or half as much on a successful save. Number 7 is skunk in a cage.
Yes.
The kobold releases a skunk into an unoccupied space within 5 feet of it. The skunk has a walking speed of 20 feet, AC 10, 1 hit point, and no effective attack.
Yes.
It rolls initiative and, on its turn, uses its action to spray musk at a random creature within 5 feet of it. The target must succeed on a DC 9 con save, or it retches and is incapacitated for 1 minute. The target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns. Doesn't need to breathe. Oh, I'm sorry. The end of each of its turns, ending the effect on success. If it doesn't need to breathe or is immune to poison, it automatically succeeds on the saving throw. Once the skunk has sprayed its musk, it can't do so again until it finishes a short or long rest.
Oh, man.
I just love the idea of the skunk is like, oh, man, that's a tough fight. I got to take a break. I need a short rest.
What? Yeah, I was thinking it's like I want a battle where the only thing that survives is the skunk.
Yep.
It's like a TV case. You poison everything on both sides. All the guns, and the skunk walks off. Everybody just dead and stinky.
We got to hydrate, by the way.
Oh, okay. Hey.
Oh, I missed that quack that came through 3 minutes ago. I was reading these wonderful, wonderful attacks. And finally, because you knew they were going to leave you with the last one best.
I don't know. Scorpion on a stick's pretty awesome.
Scorpion on a stick's really good. Wasp nest in a bag.
Yes.
The kobold throws a small bag into a 5-foot square space within 20 feet of it. A swarm of insects, wasps from the Monster Manual, with 11 hit points emerges from the bag and rolls initiative. At the end of each of the swarm's turn, there's a 50% chance that the swarm disperses.
It's like an arch enemy of the insect druid.
Yeah.
Like a face off. All of a sudden, bees hives are being thrown back and forth.
The swarm keeper.
Swarm keeper, yes.
Man. I want to play this monster. I don't forget my next character. Can I just be a kobold inventor? I don't need to level up. I just need these.
Well, I just thought of I was thinking of weapons for it,
Yeah.
like bag of glass. She's got broken glass and a bag on the end of a string.
Yeah, and you could just, as a DM, you could just come up with more of these.
Yes.
To add to the table. You've got the layout for how they work, the rough amount of damage you want to do. And I should mention again, if you run one of these things with a dragon shield to keep it alive, this thing's going to be putting out quite a bit of damage, actually.
Yeah.
So, what a great monster. It's my favorite monster in this book so far. Because it really is just Spurt turned into a monster that you can run with.
Well, it's also, it's such a koboldish thing, too, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody would hear that and go, oh, this doesn't really sound like a kobold. No, that sounds exactly like a kobold.
This kobold has a scorpion stuck to the end of its staff. And it's going to... This kobold is 100% going to throw a bag at you that is full of wasps.
Oh.
I know we don't do podcast highlights for this podcast normally, but that maybe should be one.
Okay.
I have one last kobold for you.
Okay.
And this is the Kobold Scale Sorcerer.
Ooh.
So this is a innate, the basket of centipedes, that's very good.
Yeah.
Innate arcane magic built in. They're pretty stout. And they typically are kobold advisors. There's a lot of little things here. They'll make themselves artificial wings if they work for a dragon, colored like the dragon they work for, so that everybody can look at them and know that they...
Well, that's a kobold thing, too.
Yep.
Because in straight kobolds, like there were certain ones that got wings.
Yeah.
They could fly, and they were given special privileges.
And have you always been blue?
Ba-da-dee-ba-da-dow,
I think your color on stream changes every stream. I'm not positive on that, but I think so.
I didn't know how you did that.
Blue. Yeah, it does it automatically, I believe. Because on my end, you're brown.
Nightbot's a little bit late with the ad time.
I mean, he's doing his best. He's doing his best.
I'm going to change that to like 30 minutes. Be like, hey, there's going to be a commercial.
There will
in a
be an
minute.
ad in the next 4 minutes
Yeah.
nebulously.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's wearing his fake wings. He's having a good time.
Oh, man.
He's CR1. AC 15, 27 hit points, 30 foot movement speed, no fly speed. The wings are fake. Dark vision, passive perception 9, standard, pack tactic, sunlight sensitivity.
Yeah.
He has the exact same dagger as the inventor.
Mm-hmm.
but he has multi-attack, so he can make 2 daggers or 2 chromatic bolt attacks.
Okay.
And he can replace 1 attack from either with spellcasting, which is very strong, actually, to be able to replace one and still do the other.
Yeah.
The dagger is still the same, but the chromatic bolt is +4 to hit, range 60 foot, 2d6 plus 2 of a type of the kobold's choice between acid, cold, fire, lightning, poison, or thunder.
Yeah.
For spellcasting, use charisma as his mod, which is a +2. Spell save DC is 12. And at will, he can cast Mage Hand and Prestidigitation. And then twice a day each, Charm Person, Fog Cloud, and Levitate. Make it look like he's flying. He's all right. You know, he's not anything too crazy on his own, but you put him with an Inventor and a Dragon Shield, and you got a pretty good encounter.
Well, I mean, if you've never seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail, start with that and then put together your kobold group.
Yes, 100%. We are the knights who say kobold. So yeah, that's our kobold section.
Okay.
Kobolds are great. I love them. There should be more kobold stuff. Next up are Korrids. And, Korribs are, of course, based on the Fae.
Yeah.
They're based on Kolbs or Galabdurus is another way that it's sometimes called, right? These are where a lot of legends of dwarves come from, while also a lot of legends of brownies. Like, they all kind of get mixed in together, right? It is kobold with a K. They kind of all get mixed in together, but Korrids are small, hairy fae.
Yeah.
The hair that grows from their heads is magical, and it transforms into whatever material it was used to cut when it's cut from their head. The rest of the hair on their body is not magical and does not do that.
Yeah. I'm totally going to run a Trolls campaign.
Yeah, right? Troll is the other word I was looking for earlier when I said brownie. Yeah. So, depending on your mythology, sometimes they're called trolls, sometimes they're called brownies, sometimes they're called dwarves. But they're cute little guys.
The monsters with the good hair.
Yeah, if you think about, I hate to bring this example up. You think about Frozen and the little trolls in Frozen.
Yeah.
Give them hair, and there you go.
What's the little trolley dolls?
Yeah.
Is what,
Yeah, 100%.
Like I said, put goat hooves on them.
Yep, and there you go.
Yeah.
So these things are pretty stout. CR 7, AC of 17, 93 hit points, 30-foot movement speed, 30-foot burrow speed.
Interesting.
They are resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magical. Not silvered, just non-magical. Which is definitely a change from what they were in previous editions. Well, they're Fae, right?
Yeah, well, they are.
But so many Fae now don't need it to be silvered either.
Yeah, I know, but also if they're really Fae, they would...
Iron
that would be probably it'd be iron, but
iron was never a distinction for D&D.
But that makes me think though, because silver weapons and magical weapons have been intertwined,
right?
Just so long. I don't know anything where else where they're really be separated. Where I would say that the silvered weapon doesn't work. It just
I guess it would just be werewolves, right?
Maybe, yeah.
Because all the Fae are now just magic.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. We got some more Fae we're going to get to later on. Not this episode, but later on.
Okay.
They have dark vision of 120, tremor sense 120, and a passive perception of 15.
Okay.
And they have stone camouflage. They have advantage on stealth checks to hide in rocky terrain. Because of course they do. They look like rocks with hair.
Like Frodo with his cape outside the gate.
Yep. For multi-attack, they can make 2 great club or rock attacks. And yes, you heard me right. The small Fae have great clubs. +9 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 1d8 plus 6 bludgeoning, or 3d8 plus 6 bludgeoning if the Korrid is on the ground.
Okay.
Because they're, attuned to the earth. Also, that hurts. Imagine one of these things swinging a great club into your knee.
Yeah.
With 3d8 plus 6 damage. The ranged attack is a rock, +9 to hit, range 60, 120. Single target, 1d8 plus 6 bludgeoning, or 3d8 plus 6 bludgeoning if they're on the ground.
Okay.
Then they have spellcasting, because of course they do, because they're Fae. Their mod is Wisdom, which is a +2, and their save is 13.
Yeah.
At will, they can cast Commune with Nature as an action. That's very specifically stated. They can't do it as a bonus action. It has to be as an action. Meld into stone and stone shape. And once a day, they can cast Otto's Irresistible Dance. Now, this spell never comes up.
No. But it's a good, perfect spell for a Fae.
No, it's perfect. Because it never comes up, I figured I'd go ahead and read how this spell works for people.
Yeah.
It's a 6th-level spell. Casting times 1 action, range 30 foot, duration's a minute, concentration. Choose one creature you can see within range. The target begins a comic dance in place, shuffling, tapping its feet, capering for the duration. Creatures that can't be charmed are immune. A dancing creature must use all of its movement to dance without leaving its space, and has disadvantage on dex saving throws and attack rolls. While the target is affected by this spell, other creatures have advantage on attack rolls against it. As an action, a dancing creature makes a wisdom saving throw to regain control of itself. On a successful save, spell ends.
Yeah.
And finally, these Kobolds have a bonus action. Now, if you remember the Kobold from 4th edition, you know what this bonus action does. It's Command Hair. The Kobold has at least one 50-foot long rope woven out of its hair. The Kobold commands one such rope within 30 feet of it to move up to 20 feet and entangle a large or smaller creature that the Kobold can see. The target must succeed on a DC 13 dex save or become grappled by the rope. The escape save is 13 as well. Until this grapple ends, the target is restrained. The Kobold can use a bonus action to release the target, which is also freed if the Kobold dies or becomes incapacitated. A rope of Kobold hair has AC 20 and 20 hit points. It regains 1 hit point at the start of each of the Kobold's turns, while the rope has at least 1 hit point and the Kobold is alive. If the rope drops to 0 hit points, it is destroyed. He caught you with his hair.
It's a fun little creature.
Yeah.
I think where I would introduce it, I might have it being able to control an earth elemental or something, though.
Yeah.
Something where just giving it something where the grappling with the hair would really make a difference.
For sure. For sure.
But
cool little creature.
it is. When you make somebody dance.
Next up, we have the Kraken Priest.
The Kraken. Release the Kraken.
And it's exactly what you think it is. It's a priest to the Kraken.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I mean, why wouldn't there be a priest to the Kraken? The Kraken is one of the options for warlocks, right? Why would there not be priests to it?
Yeah.
It's CR 5. AC is 15. Hit point 75. 30-foot walk, 30-foot swim.
Okay.
And it can breathe air and water. It's amphibious. With multi-attack, it makes 2 Thunderous Touch or Thunderbolt attacks. Thunderous Touch is a melee spell attack, plus 5 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target. 5d10 thunder.
Oh, okay.
Pretty solid for CR 5.
Yeah.
And then the Thunderbolt is plus 5 to hit, range 60 foot, single target, 2d10 lightning damage, plus 2d10 thunder damage, and the target's knocked prone. It's a stout creature.
Yeah, it is.
Then it has spellcasting. Wisdom's the mod, which is a plus 2. Spell save DC is 13. At will, it can cast Command, Create or Destroy Water. 3 times a day each, Control Water, Darkness, Water Breathing, and Water Walk. And once per day, Evard's Black Tentacles. So glad monsters are finally getting that spell.
Are you really?
Because it's a great spell that really nobody monster-wise has been able to cast.
Yeah.
Players just get to abuse it. Man.
Well, I'm kind of curious now. I got to do a little bit deep diving, or maybe it'll come up in a couple of months.
Deep dive?
Yeah. Maybe it'll come up in a release for D&D 1 or anything. Because the spells, are they going to match these spells up the same way?
I don't know.
Under the
I would
3
hope so.
categories?
I would hope so. But we'll see, I suppose.
Yeah.
It does have one last ability called Voice of the Kraken, which recharges after a short or a long rest. A Kraken speaks through the priest with a thunderous voice, audible within 300 feet. Creatures of the priest's choice that can hear the Kraken's words, which are spoken in abyssal, infernal, or primordial, must succeed on a DC 14 wisdom saving throw or be frightened of the priest for 1 minute. A frightened target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turn, ending the effect on itself on success. And this recharges after a short or long rest, just like the skunk.
I'm gonna use that right at the beginning of the encounter, man.
Yep. Terrify everybody.
All right. The priest turns around and says, "Bruh."
Yep. Look at this guy.
Why?
Yeah, it's just a cool little monster. I think it's nice to have stat blocks that are specifically tailor made to some of these because they exist.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have something that's just like, hey, here's what it can do.
Well, it's not. If you're making a campaign, sometimes it doesn't have to be, the huge epic. But if you're just doing a few sessions,
right?
I think they're really starting to give more and more steps.
I agree.
You have steps through that. You fight this, then you'll get to this.
Yeah.
And
eventually you fight the Kraken.
Yeah.
Finally, for our Ks, we have Kruthiks, which are reptiles covered in chitin.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Now we have a couple different little stat blocks for these, but they're pretty short stat blocks because it really feels much like the Kobolds, like it's kind of building up a hive.
Okay.
These are ant lizards, basically. They're tyranids, except without the big versions of them. They communicate through a series of hisses and chittering, and the sounds can often be heard in advance of a Kruthic attack. If their lairs are invaded, their guards send out an alarm by rapidly tapping the stone floor with their sharp legs. We have a little blurb from Mordenkainen here, who says, imagine a hive of ants the size of horses, but the ants are wearing armor. And I do love these things. Kruthiks will let constructs, elementals, oozes, and undead share the hive with them.
Okay.
And they will often use them as guards for the hive.
Makes
and
sense.
they'll even barricade some tunnels and dig new ones to keep neighbors away from their eggs or to trap in an elemental or something of that sort so that it will continue to defend the hive for them.
Okay.
They're not stupid. They're just weird. And I love them. Our first stat block is for a young Kruthic. These are the ones that have just recently hatched. Their eggs are about the size of a human's head, and they hatch within a month. They're CR 1/8, AC of 16, hit points of 9,
Okay.
speed 30-foot movement, 10-foot burrow, 30-foot climb,
Okay.
and they only speak Kruthic, but they have tremor sense for 60 feet.
Oh, okay.
Pretty dang cool. They do have pack tactics.
Okay, so get the advantage there.
Mm-hmm. And then they have Tunneler, which lets them burrow through solid rock at half the burrowing speed
Okay.
and leave a 2.5-foot diameter tunnel in the wake. Because these things are still small monstrosities.
Yeah.
And then their only attack is a stab with their taloned feet, their clawed feet, I guess. Their bladed feet. I don't know how you would say it. There's +5 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 1d4 +3 piercing.
Okay.
Then we have the adult Kruthic. Takes about 6 months of steady eating for a young Kruthic to become an adult. They live roughly 7 years. They have a couple other things, such as they're able to actually launch their spikes off their legs at enemies, which is really cool. I would love to run a campaign for just hey, this hive settled in and the king needs you to go take care of it. These things are a problem. CR2, AC of 18.
It's pretty tough at CRT.
Yeah, 39 hit points, speed 40, burrow 20, climb 40.
Okay.
Still has the tremor sense. Pack tactics, of course, still has Tunneler, but now it leaves a 5-foot diameter tunnel in its wake. It has multi-attack for 2 stab or spikes. The stab is like before, but better. +5 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 1d6 +3 piercing.
Okay.
And the spike is a ranged variant, +5 to hit, range 2060, 1d4 +3 piercing.
Throw my leg bone at you.
Yep. And then finally we have the Kruthic Hive Lord. If the Hive Lord is killed, the rest of the hive will abandon the lair and search for a new one.
So this is how you have to refer to me from now on.
The Hive Lord. It's a pretty good name. The largest Kruthic in a hive, when they find, if the Lord dies and they leave and they find a new lair, the largest one undergoes a metamorphosis, going into a cocoon, and after several weeks later becomes a Hive Lord.
Okay.
So you have the ability for this to just keep happening. Now they're very special. They keep bodyguards. Sometimes Kruthics, sometimes other things they've allowed to live in the hive.
Right.
And we have a little blurb from Mordenkainen in here. Other creatures that abide in hives serve a purpose in the natural world. Bees pollinate flowers. Termites make earth out of wood. Kruthiks, by contrast, slay societies.
Sport and business.
Right. Now, this is CR5. It's still not, like, super up there, but I could see another tier to this where you have, like, you make your own homebrew variant that is like a Kruthik. I guess what would be higher than Hive Lord? A Kruthik
Well, if you tie
Master of the Lords or something like that.
Well, if you tie it into like a demonic line, you're gonna have maybe a priest that's been doing over this and then
absolutely
going up that way.
And not to just hey, they're Tyranids, but you could have people that worship the Hive Lord as if he was a god that are trying to bring in more Kruthiks and trying to make sure that more hives are made, and that way you could bring in some cultists as well.
Yeah.
Be able to get some cool stuff going on. But just CR5, AC of 20, 102 hit points, 40 movement, 20 burrow, 40 climb. Still has pack tactics, still has tunneler, but now it's a 10-foot hole. Multi-attack for 2 stab or spikes. The stab is now +7 to hit, reach 10 foot, single target, 1d10 +4 piercing. The spike is now +6 to hit, range 30, 120, single target, 1d6 +4 piercing. And then it now has Acid Spray, which recharges on a 5 or 6. It sprays acid in a 15-foot cone. Each creature in that area must make a DC 14 dex save, taking 4d10 acid damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful one.
Yeah.
I love these things.
Yeah. Once again, it's easy to see the hierarchy there of how you would run run a group into what they run into.
Yeah.
And set up how to go through it and build it up. Little alien spider looking things.
Yeah. They're cool.
Can't go wrong.
They're cool. And that's all our Ks, but we should be able to go ahead and clear through the Ls today because we just have 2 for those.
Okay.
First up for the L is Leucrotta. 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 Leucrotta.
Leucrotta.
Leucrotta, maybe?
I don't know.
It's 2 T's, so it'd probably be Crotta.
Yeah.
Leucrotta?
Leucrotta, I don't know. Sure, yes.
And then what it says here is a Leucrotta is what you would get if you took the head of a giant badger, the legs of a deer, and the body of a large hyena, and put them together and reanimated them with demon ichor without bothering to cover up the stink of death. It's ichor, not ichor.
Doesn't matter. It's still nasty.
Oh, yeah. No, this thing's disgusting. Yinagu made these.
Okay.
Because, of course, he did. He didn't make them on purpose. While he was killing gnolls for fun, some of them mutated. These things are cruel and clever and still think. And they love to deceive, torture, and kill people.
Oh, okay.
They venerate Yinagu. They think that he is their great leader of the pack.
Okay.
And they love him. They also smell terrible. The stench normally warns prey a long time before they get there that they're coming to attack. But its tracks are nearly impossible to distinguish from those of a common deer, and it can duplicate the call or the vocal expressions of just about any creature it has heard, like a kinku. It uses the mimicry to lure in potential victims that attack while they're confused or unaware of the actual threat.
Okay.
CR3. 14 AC, 67 hit points, 50 movement speed.
Okay.
This thing's fast.
It is.
It has mimicry, like we said. It can mimic beast sounds and humanoid voices. Creature that hears the sounds can tell their imitations only with a successful DC 14 insight check.
Okay.
So not too bad.
Yeah, it's not super high. Yeah.
The stench means that any creature other than a Leucrotta or a gnoll that starts its turn within 5 feet of the Leucrotta must succeed on a DC 12 con save or be poisoned till the start of its next turn. On a successful saving throw, it's immune to the stench of all Leucrottas for an hour. Not forever, just an hour. It has multi-attack, 1 bite attack, 1 hooves attack. The bite is +6 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 1d8 +4 piercing. And if the Leucrotta scores a crit, it rolls the damage dice 3 times instead of twice.
Okay.
Now, 1DD has removed the ability to do that. So I would say if that is what it winds up being, you still let this monster do it.
Yeah.
Because that's its ability.
Man, it's a cool creature to have around Knowles.
Yeah. The hooves is +6 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 2d6 +4. It doesn't get the extra crit. However, it is a bonus action. Immediately after making a hooves attack, it can use kicking retreat, where it takes the disengage action for free.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Be able to get hit and get out.
Yeah, this is a pretty cool little beast.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. It's a perfect thing to do in a higher level Knoll.
Yeah.
Kind of cool. As you can still use Knolls. They're going to have more of these, working with these.
Yeah, why wouldn't they be?
Yeah.
Especially if Yeenogyu is your final boss.
Right.
These things are his priests, right?
Right. And
Cultists.
And they're, the Knolls in there are already going to be immune to the smell. Mm-hmm. They've got...
I would probably either double down on the fact that the cultists aren't immune, or I would just make the cultist immune. Because we had the cultist stuff earlier for Yeenogyu. I don't know. That's a tough call.
Because of what the cultists get?
Yeah. Because they don't get that natively, the immunity to these. But I would say they probably should, but it would be funnier if they didn't.
Yeah.
So it's a tough call. I'd have to decide that at the table. And then finally for L's, we have a big boy. We have Leviathan.
Okay.
Now this is a special Leviathan because it is an elemental.
Okay.
So it is not a large creature that lives under the ocean. It is the ocean itself.
Oh, okay.
It's an immense water elemental that is usually only found on the elemental plane of water, but sometimes can swim through a portal to another world, where Tritons, sea elves, and other aquatic folk attempt to contain it.
That's like, wait a minute. This is from Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Going out of the waterfall.
That's true. Nihilistic cults have also been known to perform arduous rituals to summon a Leviathan with the aim of using the creature to destroy coastal communities. And those cultists often consider it a blessing to drown themselves in the elemental's waters. So you could have some fun stuff you do there.
Yeah, this is a little bit weird to me because this is, if I was using a monster, if I was going to build a big monster like this, it'd be kind of, it feels more like it's got the qualities of what the Japanese paddlefish.
Yeah,
What brings a tsunami,
For sure.
I understand where they're going to. It still doesn't quite fit to me as the Leviathan, though.
Right.
Okay, you go.
Yeah, it's a strange choice to call it that, I think. But because the Leviathan automatically makes me think of, the popular culture version of Leviathan, which is a dragon.
Yeah.
That's underwater. And this elemental takes the form of a dragon made out of water.
Yeah.
But it is still an elemental. It is not a dragon. CR20, AC 17, which is pretty low for a CR20 monster.
Yeah.
328 hit points.
Okay.
40-foot walking, 120-foot swim, as you would expect.
So don't fight it in the water.
Should not do that. It is resistant to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical. It is immune to acid and poison. It is immune to being exhausted, grappled, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, prone, restrained, or stunned because it is an elemental. And it has dark vision for 60 feet, which feels really weird, but I guess it's underwater. Maybe it's dark under there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But it has legendary resistances, 3 a day.
Yeah.
It has partial freeze. If the Leviathan takes 50 cold damage or more during a single turn, the Leviathan partially freezes until the end of its next turn. Its speed is reduced. Both speeds are reduced by 20 feet, and it makes attack rolls with disadvantage.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's a really interesting thing. I did not see that coming when I was first reading this. But it has Siege Monster. It deals double damage to objects and structures.
Okay.
It's also a water form, so it can enter a hostile creature's space and stop there. It can move through a space as normal or as narrow as 1 inch wide without squeezing. It's going to take it a long time because it's gargantuan, but I guess it can do it. It has multi-attack, 1 slam and 1 tail. The slam is plus 14 to hit, reach 20 foot, single target, 2d12 plus 8 bludgeoning plus 2d12 acid damage.
Okay.
Which is interesting to me, but okay. I might have gone force instead because it's water.
Yeah.
The melee weapon for the tail is plus 14 to hit as well. Reach 20 foot, single target. 2d10 plus 8 bludgeoning plus 3d6 acid. That one makes a bit more sense to me because it's a tail. But either way, this thing's throwing out some pretty stout acid damage. It's not as high as I think it probably needs to be.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. This is the first creature that comes through that I'm like really not that impressed with.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got a lot of hit points.
Yeah. But it's just kind of going to slam at you.
Yeah.
It does have one other ability, besides its legendary actions, called Tidal Wave, which recharges onto 6. The Leviathan magically creates a wave of water that extends from a point it can see within 120 feet of itself. The wave is up to 250 feet long, up to 250 feet tall, and up to 50 feet wide. Each creature in the wave must make a DC 24 strength save. On a failed save, that's a high save. On a failed save, a creature takes 7d12 bludgeoning damage and is knocked prone. On a successful save, takes half as much damage and isn't prone. The water spreads out across the ground in all directions, extinguishing unprotected flames in the area and within 250 feet of it, and then it vanishes.
Okay. That sounds like a Leviathan power.
Right. That feels more in line than everything else so far.
Yeah.
And then legendary actions are it can use 1 to move or 2 to slam.
Okay.
So I'm disappointed in this one too, just because it's a weird take on the name.
Yeah.
And then it's a weird take on the creature. And then it kind of only has one thing that feels, I guess 2 things, because I like the partial freeze.
Yeah, that's an interesting weakness of it. I mean, and I think they're your players could definitely take advantage of that with the right setup.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's too out of whack.
Right. And I don't think unless they know about it, they're going to figure it out too easily. Because what are the chances they do more than 50 cold damage in a turn?
Well, it depends on the
depends on the group, I guess.
Well, I was thinking about if the wizard happens to pick the right spell, they'll get it.
Chromatic orb instead of fireball.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know.
Or if your druid uses Sleet Storm because he thinks it's a good idea.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Who would ever do that when your party needs to get through an area really quickly? But yeah, I mean, there's just not a lot of ice spells, especially ice spells that do good damage, but there are some. And if they use that, it's going to wind up being a huge advantage in this fight. So, yeah, it's an interesting one.
Yeah.
We probably have time to get into one more here because it's just a basic little guy.
Okay.
And
we got
can
one more.
Start up on our M's.
Okay.
We start the M's off with a martial art. I also just don't want to end on the Leviathan because it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
We start with a martial arts adept. You want a monk stat block for NPCs?
Oh, that's cool.
Here you go. We do have a set of tattoos.
Tattoos?
So, yeah, you roll a d8 or pick, and you have a chart here with different tattoo ideas.
That's a terrible way to pick a tattoo.
It is. I agree. The first one is a patterning on the arms that make them look as though they were made of marble or granite.
Okay.
It's a cool idea. Number 2 is colorful dragon scales. Number 3 is a collage of playful elemental or fey creatures. Number 4 is a constellation on the palm of each hand. Number 5 is a passage from a fighting manual. Number 6 is beautiful but poisonous flowers. Number 7 is 2 coatls swirling around each other, rendered in metallic ink.
Okay.
And number 8 is a detailed landscape depicting natural beauty.
I did not hear I Love Mom once.
Yeah, that wasn't there, and neither was Built Tough.
Yeah, so.
You know?
Do what you got to do. Do what you got to do.
These are CR3, and it is just a monk stat block, really. But it's kind of cool. AC 16, because they have unarmored defense.
Okay.
60 hit points. 40 speed.
Yeah.
They're fast, but they're monks, you know. Unarmored defense, of course, while they're wearing no armor, wielding no shield. The AC includes the wisdom mod. The TAD is a CR3. The martial arts adept is a CR3. It has multi-attack for 3 unarmed strikes or 5 darts, which makes it feel very monk.
Man, don't bring up darts. All right, go ahead.
Unarmed strike is +5 to hit, reach 5 foot, single target, 1d8 plus 3 bludgeoning, and once per turn, the adept can cause one of the following additional effects. Choose one or roll a d4. You're going to love these. I know how much you love it when you attack and get an additional bonus.
Yeah.
On a 1 or a 2, knock down. The target must succeed on a DC 13 dex save or be knocked prone. Or 3/4, push. The target must succeed on a DC 13 strength save or be pushed up to 10 feet directly away from the Adept.
Okay.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. It's. Ooh, we've gone on a few of these classes. This one, I think I would do a little more fleshing out on.
Yeah.
From the monk class, you know.
Yeah,
what I mean?
I agree. Now it does still have darts.
Yeah.
+5 to hit, range 20/60, single target, 1d4 +3 piercing, and then it has a reaction, which is deflect missiles.
Yeah.
In response to being hit by a ranged weapon attack, the Adept deflects the missile. The damage it takes from the attack is reduced by 1d10 +3. If the damage is reduced to 0, he catches the missile if it's small enough to hold in one hand, and the Adept has a free hand. So just like a monk, just
yeah,
catch that arrow.
make a nice little show there.
Yeah. So that's K and L.
Yes.
We're now into M's.
Yeah. So, how many? We got a few M's. Right?
Yeah, there's quite a few M's to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13
Okay.
M's. So that'll probably be next week's show.
Okay.
But I want to tease a couple of these for you.
Okay.
The one we're going to cover first next week is a Marut.
A Marut?
Yeah. Which is from Primus.
Is that
The Modron.
okay? Okay. Modrons are classic. A Marut, the elephant, a woolly mammoth looking thing. I would think.
No.
It's not. Okay.
This is something new.
Okay.
It's very cool. I think you're going to like it.
Okay.
It's CR25.
CR25.
Yeah.
That's pretty. Should be pretty stout then.
And then for the rest of y'all that are excited to hear about specific stuff, we also have measles coming. So, I mean, just be prepared. Be prepared. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
So, yeah, we'll be back tomorrow with painting.
Yeah, your 40K.
Yeah, Intercessor
Yeah.
Kill Team.
Yeah.
And then Monday, of course, we'll be back with chickens.
Yes.
And Tuesday, we'll be back for Lotro chickens, just to clarify, and on Monday. And Tuesday, we'll be back with the regular Tuesday show. We already have a lot of news that's piled up.
Yeah.
I expect it to be a big one. But before we go, like we always do, what was your favorite monster?
Man, it's got to be that kobold.
The
man.
Kobold Inventor.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
Anything with, yeah, you may be cool, but do you have a scorpion on a stick?
I still can't get over the fact that the skunk has to recover from a short or long rest. It's so good. Oh, so we'll be back tomorrow and then next week. Please look forward to it. We're going to get into the M's next week on the show. And I know a lot of people have been curious, hey, what's going to happen after you finish this book? Well, I mean, there's a couple books that come out, so we got
Yeah.
options, and we can just do episodes on one D&D at this point. We got a lot of options.
Yeah.
So just look forward to it because we got a lot of good stuff coming still. If you are a new player or a new DM that's checking this stuff out and you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask in the comments. I will do my best to answer. I will forward them to Rundgren, and we will come up with some good answers. And if maybe you give us an interesting enough question, we could cover it on an episode of the podcast. So
Yeah, we'll do that. Excellent.
anything else I forgot?
No, I think we're good. I do want to bring up one thing right here at the end.
For sure.
And these monsters make me think about it more and more, and I'm afraid there's we're going to start getting a power creep, and I think we already are in D&D. Now, obviously, in the theater of the mind, you can,
Right.
you can
Buffalo.
adjust
Yeah.
as you need to. But and these are great abilities. Don't get me wrong, but golly,
Players hit hard.
yeah, players hit hard. Everything's getting just more powerful.
Yep.
So I don't know. I'm looking forward to the next what 1D&D puts out next for playtest or whatever, which should be pretty soon. I think the forum opened today, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, to take
Well, and
feedback.
Not to talk about our home games too much, but in the game that you run, you gave us some pretty decent regular little mobs to take on, and my level 6 monk killed 4 of them in one turn.
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't like high CR monsters, but
Right.
the point is, if you want to run fun monsters like these kobolds, and your party is like level 6,
Yeah.
You're going to have to buff them up a little bit because otherwise they're just going to die before they can do anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I don't know. We'll have to see how the next few months go with it.
yeah.
And then we'll then see. Because it may balance out. Maybe they have something in mind to kind of balance out the thing. These creatures, I think a lot of these creatures are great. But a few of these creatures, like that's going to have to be a little bit more.
Yeah.
You know, one or two of them was like, might go less on it, but
right.
It is what it is.
It's all on the dice, too. The dice do definitely have a big part of it.
So. Dice tell a story sometimes.
It all falls down to how you balance it on your end.
Yeah.
Because you can't control the dice. I mean, you could, but then you'd be cheating. So
it'd be wrong. Why would you do that?
Anyway, with all that said, stairs. I've been Trey.
I've been Rungwin.
And we've been the Full Spectrum D&D podcast. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum, the D&D, and Kobold Inventors.